It operates in more than 50 different countries. To look at it in monetary terms, firms within this industry pull in about $100 billion a year in annual revenue.
In modern-day Iraq, the U.S. Army finds itself overtasked, and they have to resort to a wide variety of outside suppliers for everything from trucking to food to security.
Essentially, you have sort of three major categories of companies. You have your non-lethal service companies, and they support military operations, peacekeeping operations, logistically. And then you have two other categories.
Military consultant firms. If you were a U.S. Army soldier going into Iraq right now, your final training program in Kuwait wouldn't be given to you by U.S. Army folks, it'd be given to you by military consultants. They won't do the fighting for you, but they'll come in and train and advise you how to do the job better.
And you have your private military companies. The private military companies generally work for governments, and they are brought in to change the strategic situation.
The very first one of these, the most notable one, was Executive Outcomes. Now, many of the companies on the ground in Iraq that are providing these tactical roles fall within that domain. Basically, any company that has guns for hire. Sometimes these companies call themselves private security companies, but we're really not talking about security guards at the local mall. We're talking about companies that are hired to provide tactical military capability in the middle of a combat zone.
George Bush has created the ultimate entrepreneurial / Wild West scenario in Iraq. I mean, if you've got a gun and you're for hire, there's work for you.
My name is Garrett Cornish. I know military or police experience.
Don't give up. If you get shot, don't just say, "Oh, I'm dead." Just finish the fucking drill, all right?
I've been taking firearms-related training courses for about 3 years. I'm a tactical pistol instructor with SIG Arms Academy.
VIP is the most vulnerable when he's entering or leaving a vehicle, arriving or departing from a venue.
Drivers fucking have two hands on the wheel at all times. They don't pull a gun up. They don't do fuck all.
Go.
Taken numerous other defensive firearms courses through Gunsight, mainly through SIG Arms Academy in the U.S. It's one of the bigger, more well-known schools.
Generally speaking, the most common attacks for us were vehicle-based IEDs. So you may have an improvised explosive device, which would be an IED, inside a vehicle. That vehicle could have artillery shells in it. It could have explosives in it. And then it's wired to explode at a predetermined time, or possibly the vehicle will roll up on a convoy and detonate when it's next to a convoy. You can have pre-positioned improvised explosive devices along a roadway in tumbleweed. IEDs were placed inside the tumbleweed in their common sight, so when you drive up, you really don't have any notice before it detonates.
They were stuffing something inside the drainage. They were stuffing something. Could be an IED. Have somebody check it right over here past the tank.
The more aggression you create, the more people that you zipper in front of their cars, the more people that get shot up. I mean, they're working in Middle East countries. It's not like you forgive somebody because they shot up your car.
Bang bang. أمريكي أنا وياه أطلع على الأمريكي بعد تشيك. أنتوا عجبت تفاجئت.
Yes. Yeah. You get too close, we shoot.
Did you hit his car or did you shoot in front of it?
I shot in front of it. It may have fucking ricocheted and hit his car, but... Exactly. Piss on it, right?
For domestic contractors doing dirty work overseas has been around since America was first founded.
One of the oldest professions in human history is that of mercenary. When we look at the recorded history of war, the Battle of Kadesh, which was back before 1200 BC, had mercenaries fighting in it. So the history of mercenaries is actually far more prevalent than we really like to admit when we think about warfare.
Broadcasting from an undisclosed location, Freedom Radio on 107.7 FM, Baghdad.
For those of you who don't already know, I quit the job at the law firm and I'm now working for a private security company in Iraq. I'm on a 6 on, 3 off rotation, 6 weeks on, 3 weeks off. The contract is huge, 200 men doing close protection tasks, or PSD as the Americans call it. There are swarms of other firms of private contractors all over the place, some complete cowboy outfits. But this one is fairly sharp, so I'm not too worried about getting killed. I'm currently tasked at the Baghdad office working out of a villa in the Green Zone. Egypt, where the CPA, that's the Coalition Provisional Authority, has set up shop. The city on the whole is in ruins, but it doesn't seem all that dangerous right now.
Allah Akbar!
George Bush has created the ultimate Wild West scenario in Iraq. If you've got a gun and you're for hire, there's work for you.
A mercenary is somebody who goes and fights and gets paid for it.
Private military firms are the corporate evolution of the age-old mercenary trade.
If someone wants to go and overthrow a despot government, they're going to be hard pushed to get the right type of guys, because most of those guys are actually working in Iraq. You put civilian contractors, guns, drugs, diamonds, arms embargoes, gold in the same scenario, you can mix that up into quite a nice little recipe for a disaster.
The CPA specifically stated that contractors don't fall under Iraqi law.
If you look at it from the Iraqi point of view, that means that contractors can operate with impunity.
I would not work for a criminal entity, and obviously that it's my call whether that entity is criminal or not.
You tell people, you yell inch it, back. If they don't see the gun,
You may have to make contact with that vehicle to let it know that it needs to move out of the way.
if they don't stop, then the second burst goes into the engine. If they continue to come, then the third one goes into the driver.
Did you hit his car or just shoot in front of him?
I shot in front of him. It may have fucking ricocheted and hit his car, but
I do nothing different than does anybody when they go work for IBM or any other corporation in the world. Is that corporation doing a service or a disservice to society? And if you believe they're doing a disservice and you still work for them, what does that make you?